I thought my life was perfect. Stable job, a beautiful home, and a wife, Sarah, who I thought was the love of my life. We'd been married for 7 years, and while the initial spark might have faded a little, I believed we were solid. I was wrong, terribly wrong. The first crack in my perfect world appeared on a Tuesday. I came home early from work, hoping to surprise Sarah. The house was quiet, which was strange. Usually I'd be greeted by the sound of music or the TV. I found a note on the kitchen counter. "Working late, don't wait up. Love S." It seemed normal enough, but a tiny seed of doubt was planted. Over the next few weeks, the working late nights became more frequent. Her phone, once left casually on the coffee table, was now always in her pocket or face down. When I'd ask about her day, her answers were vague, filled with details that didn't quite add up. She was distant, emotionally and physically. I tried to talk to her, to ask if everything was okay, but she'd just brush it off, saying she was stressed with work. Wanted to believe her, I really did, but the gnawing feeling in my gut told me something was seriously wrong. I started losing sleep, replaying conversations in my head, searching for clues. The man I saw in the mirror looked tired, defeated, and haunted by suspicion. The breaking point came one Saturday morning. Sarah said she was going out for a girls' brunch. I decided to do some yard work to clear my head. As I was putting the tools away in the garage, I noticed her old laptop, the one she said was broken. Curiosity got the better of me. It took a few tries, but I remembered her old password. Her email was still logged in, and there it was. An entire world I never knew existed. Emails, not from her friends, but from a man named Mark. They weren't just friendly emails. They were filled with intimate details, future plans, and declarations of love. My heart hammered against my ribs, each beat a painful reminder of my naivety. They had been seeing each other for over 6 months. The emails detailed their secret meetings, their inside jokes, the hotel rooms they'd shared. He was a coworker, someone she had mentioned in passing but never with any significance. Reading those messages felt like watching a car crash in slow motion. I saw our marriage, our shared history, being systematically dismantled. The worst part was reading her words, how she described me as boring, predictable, and emotionally unavailable. It was a dagger to the heart. I felt a mix of rage and profound sadness. How could the person I trusted most in the world betray me like this? I closed the laptop, my hands shaking. I didn't know what to do. Confront her? Pack my bags? My mind was a whirlwind of confusion and pain. I decided to wait to gather more evidence, to understand the full scope of her betrayal before I made any moves. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, pretending everything was normal while my world was falling apart. Every "I love you," she said, felt like a lie. Every touch felt like a betrayal. I started paying more attention. I noticed the new perfume she wore, the way she'd smile at her phone, the sudden interest in a new genre of music. It was all connected to him. I felt like a stranger in my own home, a ghost watching the life I thought was mine being lived by someone else. I started documenting everything, taking screenshots of the emails, noting the times she was working late. I needed proof, not just for myself, but for the inevitable confrontation. A few weeks later, the situation took a turn I could have never predicted. I was at work when I got a call from an unknown number. It was a detective. My first thought was that something had happened to my parents. But the detective asked if I was Sarah's husband. I said yes. He told me something that made the floor drop out from under me. Mark, her affair partner, had been arrested. It wasn't for something small. He was involved in a major corporate fraud scheme at their company, embezzling a significant amount of money. I was speechless. This was a level of drama I wasn't prepared for. The detective wasn't just informing me. He had questions. He explained that during the investigation, they had uncovered Mark's affair with Sarah. The company's IT department had flagged their extensive, non-work-related email exchanges. But it got worse. Much worse. The detective told me that Mark, in his desperation to reduce his own culpability, had named Sarah as an accomplice. Wow. He claimed she was not only aware of the fraud, but had actively helped him cover his tracks and had benefited financially from it. He alleged that the expensive gifts he'd bought her, the lavish hotel stays, were all paid for with the stolen money, and that she knew it. My mind reeled. Was it possible? Was Sarah not just a cheater, but a criminal? The detective asked if I had noticed any unusual spending habits or large, unexplained purchases. My mind flashed to the new designer handbag she'd bought a month ago, the one she claimed she got on a crazy sale, and the weekend trip she took with her girlfriends, which, according to the emails, was actually a romantic getaway with Mark. The pieces were starting to fit together in the most horrifying way possible. I told the detective what I knew about the affair, about the lies and the secrecy. I agreed to cooperate fully with their investigation. Hanging up the phone, I felt numb. The affair was one thing, but this was a whole other dimension of betrayal. My wife was potentially facing serious criminal charges. That evening, when Sarah came home, she was a wreck. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying. Before I could even say a word, she confessed everything, not just about the affair, but about the arrest. She told me she had been called in for questioning. She swore she had no idea about the scale of the fraud. She admitted Mark had been generous, but she claimed she thought he was just well off from a wealthy family, something he had told her. She insisted she was just a pawn, that he had manipulated her, using their affair to create a smokescreen. She cried and begged for my forgiveness, saying she had made a terrible mistake and that she loved me. But as I looked at her, I didn't see the woman I married. I saw a stranger who had lied to me for months. Her tears didn't move me. The trust was completely shattered. How could I believe anything she said now? Her confession felt less like genuine remorse and more like a desperate act of self-preservation now that she was in legal trouble. The betrayal was too deep, the lies too numerous. The affair had destroyed our marriage, but her involvement in this criminal activity, whether she was a willing participant or a naive fool, was the final nail in the coffin. It showed a fundamental flaw in her character that I could never overlook. I told her that night that it was over. I couldn't be married to someone I couldn't trust, someone whose actions had brought such chaos and potential ruin into our lives. I hired a lawyer the very next day. The legal battle was messy, both for the divorce and her criminal case. My evidence of the affair became crucial in the divorce proceedings. As for the criminal charges, Sarah ended up taking a plea deal. She avoided prison time, but was sentenced to a long period of probation and hefty fines. Her career was destroyed, and her reputation was in tatters. Mark was sentenced to several years in prison. As for me, the process was painful, but it was also liberating. It forced me to rebuild my life from the ground up on a foundation of truth and self-respect. It taught me a harsh lesson about trust and betrayal. It's been a few years now. I've healed, I've moved on, and I've even started dating again, this time with my eyes wide open. The scar is still there, a reminder of the storm I weathered, but it no longer hurts. It's just a part of my story, a story of survival and finding my way back to the light. Thank you for listening. If you've been through something similar, remember that you are not alone and that healing is possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.